What's up, guys? This is Busty, and here coming at you with a Christmas deck profile because no Christmas should go by on my channel without looking at Dragon Ball CCG deck profile and without seeing the big green face of the one and only Slugman Piccolo. So I'm revisiting an old deck which I have profiled back in 2013 or 14. And that is, of course, as you could already tell by the title of this video, is the Namekian Evil Tribe deck that um, I was pretty much the first deck that I custom built, like without looking at any deck profiles and being inspired by them. It was just like literally, why is nobody running Evil Tribe Namekians? So this is an improved deck, and it works a lot better than the old profile. It's just a lot more consistent, and we're taking into account the errata of Namekian Fusion as well, the event that's at the heart of this deck. So let's start with our warriors. Turn 0, as always, we're running 3 copies of Zunama. Zunama is unique. Of course, it's a 3-0, 3-0 even if injured, which is really, really solid. It's a very good starting warrior for turn 0. Yes, the drawback is that you need to remove from play a Dragon Ball coin you control when this warrior leaves play. But I think that's a small price to pay for getting such a solid turn 0 warrior. We keep the focus on turn 0, and really our first Evil Tribe Namekian Piccolo Jr, another excellent turn 0 warrior card. Basically, it will allow evolution, and it will allow us to basically skip 2 turns with warrior deployment in this deck. So we're running a 3 of, this is a must-have. It's got the same healthy stats as Zunama 3-0. When Piccolo Jr. gets injured, it's only a 1-0, but that's really not a problem at all because we can heal Piccolo Jr. And even more importantly, we're going to be evolving on turn 4. So we got, of course, 3 copies of this bad boy. And then for consistency, we need Old Kai. We want to make sure that we don't fall victim of fierce decks where we get too many cards milled out off our deck. And Old Kai basically gives us that effect once per turn. Remember, you can use Old Kai's effect during your opponent's strategy phase 2, so make sure you do that every turn. Yours or your opponent's put a card from your discard pile back into the bottom of your planet. Really solid card, and also the 2 support on it is also great. Don't worry if he gets injured, his effect is valid. So there you go. We don't really care about getting the alien chi. This deck is mono green in its entirety. So that's it for turn 0s, but I really ramped up turn 1. Running 2 copies of Drum. This has been in the old iteration of the deck as well. It's basically just another warrior to give us 2 support. Pretty much does the same duty as Old Kai, giving us by turn 1 a team of 5, which is pretty good overall. And its ability, when it's your strategy phase, you're the attacker, in your strategy phase you can reveal top card of your planet. If it's an Evil Tribe warrior, you may put it into your hand, but that you must put 1 card from your hand to the bottom of your planet. So just a little bit of filtering that Drum can get us. A lot of the cards are Evil Tribe. When we get to the end of the warriors, I'm actually gonna point out exactly all the warriors that Drum can find in the deck. The first big change in the deck is, well, I believe the first deck only ran 2 Old Kais and perhaps 2 Zunamas. Now we are running 2 set 1 symbol Um, this might be an odd choice, but really I think it's better than Tambourine because Tambourine will come out turn two, and really, throughout the years I've been playing, my playstyle certainly is along the way that, okay, well, if I have an old guy to deploy turn zero, I might take a damage. But if I can then go ahead and deploy symbol, with a combination of symbol and drum or symbol and old Kai, I can have the same 5 team power to what I would get with turn 0 Zunama, turn 1 drum, or turn 0 Piccolo, and turn 1 old Kai. So really, with the turn 0 turn 1 characters, I want to be able to kind of cover all the different scenarios to get myself to a team power of 5 by turn 1. And also, symbol is not a dead card later into the game because it does have one support value as well in healthy status, and so basically symbol can be somewhat useful. That plus one can always matter, and just the fact that we can bring symbol down a turn earlier compared to tambourine makes it very good. Now tambourine does have the plunder, but we got a lot of plunder already when we go into the upcoming characters. So these guys, we're looking to find basically any one of the Zunama, Piccolo Jr., or Symbol with an old Kai or a drum in our opening hand. So we have a team power of one team with a power of 5 by turn 1. We are skipping turn 2 because if all goes well, then anyway we should be able to have enough copies of different cards coming out from these 5 warriors to just deploy any one of them in turn 2. Turn 3 we got King Piccolo. He is one of the main engines of the deck. We always want to have King Piccolo playable on turn 3. If we don't, then we're gonna struggle because we really rely on that ability, that effect even that says it with the Dragon Ball as a valid effect. Other Evil Tribe warriors you control get +1/+1. So not just in the team, but all the other Evil Tribe warriors get +1/+1. So that's really really big. Um, King Piccolo is the card that is the glue of the deck, and because he's also a 4/3, which is a very generous stat, we definitely want to get to the point where we see King Piccolo being played on turn 3. We got a couple of ways how we can get to that point if we don't draw into King Piccolo naturally. So just let's get to the techniques and events to really get into the meat of how we get King Piccolo up. Turn 4, still rocking 2 copies of the Set 5 Boo. Just a really, really, really solid card. We want more. We want more support warriors for the deck, and Boo perfectly fits that profile. It's a 3/4, even 2/2 as damaged. You can back up Boo, so if you end up getting stuck with extra cards, extra warriors of the same kind in your hand, all the warriors, all the other cards in the deck will be able to, except one, except the Piccolo we run, the adult Piccolo, it can't be used to back up for Boo, but every other card can in the deck. And in the action phase, again, that could be yours or your opponent's. It's got a valid effect. Move this warrior you control to your discard pile. In that case, warriors you control cannot receive damage this turn. That is our way to keep King Piccolo basically hail. Because if we lose that 3 support of King Piccolo, that's pretty big. I'd much rather lose a Boo than lose the effect of King Piccolo. You could be getting 2 damage onto King Piccolo. Sometimes you may want King Piccolo to be your lead warrior. Doesn't happen very often, but then again, this game can throw a lot of different scenarios in your face. So having Boo as like an emergency valve is definitely good to have. and it's worth the investment. And even if nothing else, even if Boo was blank, the 3-4-2-2 would still be worth running. So very, very, very solid warrior. For turn 5, we run the full playset of Lord Slug. I still absolutely love this card, one of my favorite cards for sure in the game. A 6-3 or 2-1 if injured, but again has plunder, same as King Piccolo. Lord Slug also has plunder. And when this warrior uses a technique card with unique symbol, this warrior gets +1/+0 until the end of turn. So he's our main guy. He wants to be the main beat stick on the front of the team, your big team. Again, we're gonna get to the techniques, and every technique Lord Slug uses, as long as he's Hail, he's just gonna get more and more and more power of that. Plus the +1/+1 of King Piccolo. So immediately, if King Piccolo's down, Lord Slug's gonna come down as a 7-4, which is amazing for turn 5. Really, there aren't many. I think like androids, maybe the set one android 17 might be a 7-1 on turn 5. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the only one that's that strong. So extremely good card, very versatile. That plunder effect can be used for many occasions, and he's going to be the main. He's going to be the main guy who we're trying to pump as well. And then we also have, for turn 6, just to cap off the brutality of the deck, we have Super Garlic Jr., just another fantastic warrior, a 7-3-3-1. But again, remember, another Evil Tribe warrior, so realistically with King Piccolo, it's going to be an A4. As soon as he comes down, he's got Plunder, he's got Thrash 1, and with a Dragon Ball, cannot be targeted or affected by beam technique effects. And if you play against a super deck, or you play against an Earth deck, even obviously the Vegeta specific techniques, they're all beam, so you won't be able to affect Kamehameha with Super Garlic Jr. You won't be able to affect Super Garlic Jr. with Kamehamehas, or Galley Gun, or Final Flash, or the Super Kamehameha, or there's basically a lot of beam techniques that he just says that I don't care, you can't use it against me. But this also kind of means that obviously the bullseye, the crosshair, is going to be on King Piccolo during the game, so we need to do everything we can to protect our King Piccolo and keep it in play, or have a backup in our hands. That's always another way that we can actually redeploy a King Piccolo, but then that would mean that we skipping a turn, deploying somebody else. That would be very important. And then finally, also turn 6, but realistically we're going to be evolving on turn 4, and this is one of the big changes in the deck. Previously I didn't run the set 3 Piccolos. I would run one copy of the set 1 sort of teenager Piccolo, I guess we could call it. But realistically, I've seen the light on this card, because you're always only ever going to play this guy through evolution. And that's basically the same thing I wanted to do with the teenager Piccolo as well. And the problem with that is that that Piccolo will come down. Yes, it's like I think it's a 4 attack, and it will be a 5 attack with King Piccolo when King Piccolo is out. But realistically, Piccolo, when you get this guy out, you immediately get access to a 7-4-0-4. So he can be your head warrior. He can be on support. That's 4 support is guaranteed, because even if he's injured, he still is a 0-4, and he's got toughness. So multiple damages, you will have to deduct one of it. Realistically, there aren't many situations where he would be knocked out in one single attack. And the fact that on turn 4 we can evolve into this guy, and on turn 4 have access to a turn 6 warrior in play, is going to make this deck extremely disgusting. So whilst Piccolo is a turn 6 warrior, we're going to be playing, we ideally want to see Piccolo Jr. at some point being deployed between turn 0 to 2. Turn 3 we want to see King Piccolo, and then turn 4, hopefully we can play a Boo and also evolve into our adult Piccolo of Piccolo Jr. That's the game plan. That's what we want to achieve. So 25 warriors as always. There really isn't any reason not to run the whole 24 in this deck. We definitely have the space, and we definitely have enough shenanigans to be able to utilize the effects of all these warriors. A shine on that Piccolo is not great. Let's move on to the core of the deck, which is of course 3 copies of Namekian Fusion. If you're part of the Facebook group, then you will have access to the erratas that our members have very generously dug up from the Wayback Machine, and Namekian Fusion has gotten an errata that basically reads that discard a Namekian warrior from play. So rather than us being able to just discard Namekian warriors from our hands, we have to actually discard the Namekian warrior from play. Not a problem at all, because this deck has now been built around the errata. So you can play this effect from turn 2 onwards. You only really want to play this in turn 2 if you don't have either a Piccolo Jr. or a Piccolo in your hand, because when you play this card, you will be able to search your deck for a Namekian warrior card and put it into your hand. So again, you get the Piccolo or the Piccolo Jr. ideally. You can also get the King Piccolo if you're struggling. So there's many targets for it. You really need to just react to what the board state is and what's in your hand effectively. It's got a time limit of 2, so that will give you 2 turns, and realistically, we want to use Namekian Fusion turn 4 or turn 5. If we can use it turn 4, our target will be King Piccolo. And what we're going to do is we're going to discard the adult Piccolo from play. Once we've evolved it off Piccolo Jr., we're going to discard Piccolo from play, and we're going to give King Piccolo on turn 3 6 growth coins. Because the second effect is discard Namekian Warrior from play, put X growth coins on target Namekian Warrior without any growth coins, where X equals the turn cost of the discarded warrior. So when you make your King Piccolo a 10-7, sorry, a 10-9 even, a 10-9, he's going to be a massive threat. If you can do that on turn 4, because obviously you need to get to turn 4 to be able to evolve, and you got your King Piccolo down as a 10-9, King Piccolo on its own will be able to deal with a team. But obviously he's not going to be on his own, because you're still going to have, ideally you're going to have a turn 1 and a turn 2 play, even when you lose your turn 0 Piccolo to the effect. But really, in effect, you gain quite a lot of points. So, we could have a situation where I have a, let's say I got a Zunama, and I have a Drum, and Drum gets the +1/+1 of King Piccolo. If I want to do these as a team like that, then with the 6 growth coins, we're looking at a team of 3, 4, 5, 6 plus 9, so that's a team of 15 on turn 3. Turn 4. That's extremely hardcore. And then if you got additional Namekian fusions in your hand, perhaps turn 4 you want to decide to replay your Piccolo Jr. You can end the same turn, go ahead and evolve into Piccolo, and then turn 5 when you play your Lord Slug, you can do the same things. Sack Piccolo to the Namekian fusion to give Lord Slug 6 growth coins. And in that case, that's just a game-winning state. With conventional methods of battle, your opponent's not going to be able to deal with that at all. Again, Lord Slug gets the +1/+1 of King Piccolo, so it's basically by turn 5 you can create a scenario where your deck is unbeatable, because you're just going to be overwhelming your opponent. And remember that Namekian Fusion does search for a Namekian, so as long as you got Old Kai in play, whatever you lose, you lose your Piccolo Jr. because of evolution. Sorry, evolution actually brings King Piccolo Jr. back into your hand. But you can always put these cards back from your discard at the bottom of your deck, and you can just search for them again with Namekian Fusion, as long as you got these in your hands. Or, you know, the time counter goes off Namekian Fusion, put it back in your deck, so eventually you can draw into it again. So this really is the card that makes the whole deck tick around. All the other cards are kind of dependent on Namekian Fusion coming into play. And really the cool stuff about it is that the discard a Namekian Warrior from play doesn't have a timing, so you can do it at any time you want. There's absolutely no, so you can do this in your strategy phase, you can do it in your opponent's strategy phase, you can do this any time in the game, because it doesn't have, I mean, clearly not a well thought out card, because obviously set 5, Bandai, America, but nevertheless, we are going to abuse it. Okay, now the other protection, besides whacking a huge bucket load of growth coins onto King Piccolo, is going to be our 3 copies of Arm Stretch. Again, for those of you who have seen that video back in the days, we can make an almost infinite loop of Arm Stretch, so you can have an Arm Stretch in your hand every single turn. You just need an Old Kai to be in play. As long as you got 1 Arm Stretch in your hand to play and 1 Arm Stretch in your chi to pay for that Arm Stretch, when you pay for the cost of the Arm Stretch with the Arm Stretch card from your chi, it goes into your discard. And that means that when you do this, you then put the Arm Stretch back into your deck with Old Kai, and you will always have ammunition to search for an Arm Stretch when you play an Arm Stretch, as long as you use it with a Namekian Warrior. And of course, Arm Stretch can be used with Piccolo Jr., with King Piccolo, Lord Slug, or the adult Piccolo as well. In the previous iteration, I also ran, I think it was 1 copy of Kami, but to make space for the 2 adult Piccolos, Kami had to come out. But again, because we're gonna either with Namekian Fusion or naturally drawing into a Namekian Warrior, we're just gonna have Arm Stretch. Warriors that can use Arm Stretch. And it's such a good card as well, because you can use it in the action or strategy phase, yours or your opponent's. Negate target warrior's effect, text, and special abilities until the end of turn. So that's all effect, like Old Guys here, strategy, valid, blah, blah, blah. Those are the effects, and special abilities are like toughness, or fierce, or plunder, all this stuff. So it basically just completely blanks one of your opponent's warriors, and the target's power cannot be changed this turn. And this can be a really good card when your opponent decides to, like, okay, I'm gonna play Powerful Heritage on my Goku, and then you react to it with an Arm Stretch. So Arm Stretch, obviously on the stack, Arm Stretch is going to happen first because we work backwards, and so your opponent not only wasted the card and 2 chi to play that card, but also they're not going to be able to get the benefit of the +5 attack value. Also, Arm Stretch can be used defensively. You can actually use it on one of your own warriors if you like. If it's for Piccolo, for example, if you don't care that much about losing toughness, if your opponent plays like a Hell Flash onto your Piccolo, for example, that will give him -5/-5. Again, you just Arm Stretch on the stack. Arm Stretch happens first, which is going to prevent Piccolo's power from being changed this turn. So you can use it offensively, you can use it defensively, you can constantly have 1 in your hand if you get the Old Kai Arm Stretch loop down. So it's a fantastic card, and for a measly cost of 1 chi, it actually works perfectly, because you can use the 1 Arm Stretch from your chi to pay for the 1 that you're currently playing. If you happen to use Arm Stretch with Lord Slug, then of course Lord Slug is going to get that +1/+0 as well, which is again wicked. And again, just for that 1 measly chi. Evil Cannon, 3 of, has to be in the deck. Obviously, it's a fantastic pump technique, +3/+0 during any action phase. Again, Lord Slug actually gets +4, +0 off the Evil Cannon, but it's definitely on par with um, Powerful Heritage because you can play this card a turn early. And you're not guaranteed to have. Obviously, your Powerful Heritage is going to be usually in a Saiyan deck, but Evil Cannon is just a straight up +3/+0. Before Powerful Heritage, this was the definitive pump spell in the game. And we upped the regeneration of lost limbs to basically a 3 of, because again, first of all, healing your guys is always good, and it's often overlooked. The real problem with running Senzu Bean or Senzu Beans is the fact that it comes down a turn later, so it's a turn 4 card, and it also costs you 2 chi. Whereas Regeneration of Lost Limbs actually is playable from turn 3 onwards, so you can immediately defend your King Piccolo, you can immediately heal your King Piccolo if something happens, and if it's used by a Namekian, then you draw 2 cards as well. Now, drawing 2 cards is so good. Generally, there are more draw techniques and draw events in this game than one might think of. But up until set 5, and of course Regeneration of Lost Limbs is also a set 5 card, but up until set 5, many of the draw engines, the draw cards, were very clunky, very difficult to play. Realistically, one of the only ones was like the set 1 Android 17 is like when you have a victory, you draw a card, and it's still a solid card even in the set 5 era. But to be able to draw 2 cards and then be able to potentially, you just heal one of your Namekians, or you can heal anybody actually. It doesn't have to be a Namekian, but then you heal a Namekian, which obviously are going to be usually the main targets. Your opponent will probably want to deal with King Piccolo, Lord Slug, or Piccolo as soon as possible. If it's not too late, then regen is there. And very importantly, it also can just be played to draw 2 cards. You don't have to use it for its primary effect, which is heal target user. There are examples of cards that actually require you to have your warrior in injured status to be able to use the healing effect of the card. That's absolutely not a condition for Regen of Lost Limbs. You can just play this card with an Namekian, draw 2 cards. If you want to pump Lord Slug, obviously it's still the end of turn on Lord Slug, so you can just pump him in a strategy and swing for 7, swing for 8 if King Piccolo's down, and replenish your hands, which is fantastic. Such a versatile card. I absolutely love it. I love it, love it, love it. I pretty much am at the stage where I run at least 2 of these in every deck. And then finally, the big finish, the big sort of discussed in the game is Evil Force Organized. It can only be played by King Piccolo. It has a requirement King Piccolo. King Piccolo needs to have a Dragon Ball, which you're gonna want anyway, because that's how King Piccolo gives the +1/+1 effect. In the action phase, yours or your opponent's return target Evil Tribe Warrior from your discard pile to play and move it to any of your teams in any position. So, how does this work? Ideally, this card works with Lord Slug. So the scenario is that we don't necessarily just want to sack Piccolo for the Namekian fusion. Actually, the second time, if we have an evil force organized in our hands, we can keep Piccolo in play. We can use Lord Slug to be sagged to the Namekian fusion and give Piccolo 5 growth coins because Lord Slug is a turn 5 card. And then, of course, as we go to battle, what we do is we set up our team in a way that we're basically enabling Lord Slug to be a massive beater when he goes to the head of the team. So that's where we can, we can blank our opponent with okay, so we got our Piccolo. Piccolo's got 5 growth coins. he's a 12-9, which is ridiculous on its own. But let's say we got a 12-9 here, and I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna put a perhaps symbol. Yeah, maybe I'm gonna go and put a symbol here as a support warrior again. If King Piccolo's out, symbols 4-2, so we have a 12 plus 2. We got a team of 14, and we decide to drop the Lord Slug in the action phase with another 6-7. We then make a 16-8 team of 18, and that is probably pretty much unbeatable. And then you could also go ahead and Evil Cannon with Lord Slug. The really cool thing about Evil Force Organized is that it also breaks the you can have only 3 warriors in your team rule, because that is only checked during the organization phase, which is of course um, when you're the attacker before you attack. Anytime after that point, up until the next time that you're the attacker and you have your team organization phase before you go and attack, you can have a team of more than 3 warriors, and you can really neatly abuse this because you go ahead, you range your team. I don't know, like we could have, okay, let's say I'm going to do a Piccolo symbol drum. So I got this 3-5 plus the 12. So that's a team of 17. And then I go ahead, I swing, I play Evil Force Organized with King Piccolo, and I put Lord Slug. So now my team's going to be a 7 plus 9, 16, 18, 21. And that will also remain as the team for when you defend, because obviously as a defender you don't have to reorganize your teams. You can just rearrange the order of your team warriors as you wish if you want to, but you don't have to reorganize them until you're the attacker again. So really breaks the game, and also this really allows us to do some absolutely wicked stuff. What's really cool there is that we could go ahead, and as long as we got King Piccolo, as long as we got any one of these 3 down, and only one of them has a growth coin, we can always use anyone to get a growth coin on the other one. Depends on the scenario. I'm not gonna lie, it's difficult build. You really need to understand your deck, and you really need to understand how the deck functions. You want to stay on top of your discard pile. You want to stay on top of what cards are in your hand. But with Regeneration of Lost Limbs and Namekian Fusion, and even with the use of Drum, you will be able to get to the cards that you need ideally by turn 3, turn 4. If you're like a turn off, don't worry, because obviously your opponent can also have some mishaps. It's not guaranteed that they're gonna get the best roll at all. So that's really cool. But also, Evil Force Organized, you don't have to use it with Lord Slug. As I said previously, I'm going to actually go through all the Evil Tribe warriors we got in the deck. So Piccolo is not, but we got 3 copies of Piccolo Jr. He's Evil Tribe. Then we got 2 copies of Symbol, Evil Tribe, 2 copies of Drum, Evil Tribe, 3 copies of King Piccolo, which is also Evil Tribe, and we got 3 copies of Lord Slug and 2 copies of Super Guardian Jr., which are also Evil Tribe. So King Piccolo is gonna give a +1/+0 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potential warriors. Drum can find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potential cards that all have Evil Tribe in their hands. And Drum can be really good, if you like end up having 2, 3 old guys in your hand. You don't really know what to do with them. You don't really want to charge them for chi. You can just get extra Lord Slugs in your hand, get extra King Piccolos in your hand. Again, it just gives you that little bit of an extra functionality, a little bit of an extra, dig for the stuff that you need. So this is roughly the deck in its latest iteration. We're taking the errata into account. I think it's better than the previous one. It's a little bit more. I don't I don't really know if I should say this. It's a little bit more fair though, with Namekian fusion being adjusted, obviously working with the errata, but it's still disgustingly strong. It's still probably the best combo deck in the game. It's definitely a combo deck because you need multiple pieces to make the whole thing work. It's not just slapping generally good warriors, which is kind of the case anyway. You know, using the usual Piccolo Jr. into Piccolo evolution. Lord Slug is a good card. Super Piccolo Jr. is a good card. King Piccolo is a good card. You can overpower your opponent without doing any of the shenanigans in some games. But there is that higher gear, and we got two levels of higher gears because we got Namekian Fusion and Evil Force Organized. So really, really, really cool deck. Um, Still love it very much. It's always in the deck box, sleeved up, ready to go, and just my pride and joy. So thanks guys for joining me today, and I will hopefully have another video on Christmas Eve. Up until next time, Bastian signing out. Peace.